Alright, hey there, how's it going? Making this video was actually going to be really fun because we're going to do some cool stuff today. NESmaker multi-tile 14 and 15. I couldn't think of a sexy name for it, so that's the title. Part 1, Introduction and Special Thanks. So you go to the user screen bytes tutorial. So you copy that to your browser and you go to that. Chronicler of Legends made this tutorial originally. You follow the user screen bytes tutorial, and when you get to this bonus part, you make sure that you do that part. It's covered in his tutorial. It's covered in one of my episodes on user screen bytes, and it's covered in Drexigar's tutorial on enabling them. It's his first tutorial in his NESmaker playlist. I highly recommend viewing it. I have a special thanks. Chronicler of Legends. Chronicler of Legends. There, I said it twice in a row proper. And Drexigar. Because Chronicler of Legends helped me with... Jeez, I'm gonna keep saying the name wrong. He helped me with... Where is it? Remembering to use temp. I was actually using the number variable originally, not temp where it was stored. He reminded me that I had to use that, and I was using the numbers. I was counting with the numbers, and I realized, what's the deal with this? Why, if you put a number here, is it not affecting anything? And Drexigar reminded me that if you watch his tutorial, that I highly recommend, he tells you that when you're doing this, that the location is by those and by these. And then this is pretty much just left. And then he said when you're doing the other one, this one, that this would be pushed over by 3 when you're doing the numbers on it if you wanted to use those numbers instead of using different numbers. So I just did that, and I just did the LSR. So when you look at my script, you'll notice the LSR in there. So I believe I covered all this. I had trouble remembering the variable name. I was using the special tile type when I could have just used the temp. Anyway, let's get to the next part. Part 2, learning the code. In this video, I'm showing a bunch of my tiles as an example of an easy copy-paste into your multi-tiles, into the spots, into my multi-tiles that I made. So please watch this video section because all the information in this section is very important. First of all, the template that I'm going to give you uses references to elements that I'm using in my game as just examples. So the hot elements for my score and other variables, you may not have them in your game. The only variable you really need that it calls upon in any of the stuff is special tile type. That's a variable that controls everything pretty much in the code. You know, it's up here. It's, yeah. So you need that variable anyway. That was covered in this tutorial. So make sure you've done that tutorial and all the other stuff. So I use my death tile as an example. Okay, so here are the multi-tiles you'll be getting. Alright, so for tile 14, they compare the player. If it's the player, then it'll do all this stuff. It's not the player, it skips all the stuff. So, and the not player is all the way at the bottom of the script. So if it's an enemy, it does all that. So when you're copying anything from another script code, all you're going to do is just copy everything but the compare to the player object that you would have in that tile. So then we have the change collision there. You would not want to copy the change collision either because it's right here. Um, that I cover where you would want to copy the change collision, where you wouldn't want to copy, not copying the change collision maybe. I cover that later in this. So anyway, loads a special tile type, compares it, or adds this number to it, makes it that number, then it stores it in temp, then it takes, then basically here's where I start doing my checks. So all it's doing is, like he says here, um, and here, that's the code really. And then right here you would put when you're doing your comparisons for your things. So this would be like the 0 comparison. So temp be equal because you're not even doing the number on it. Normally you do like a comparison. You don't even need to do that one because it's comparing it to 0 basically. So you're doing that, and then we can do that with either we could test the jump reset or we can do the add score 10. So right now it's add score 10. I'm showing you the file from the folder. So this is going to be the one you get. The one that's in my um, game is going to be the one that I'm going to edit. So where you place this would be routines, game, then your project folder. For me, that's my project folder. You could even technically put it under your tile scripts if you wanted, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would just put it in some kind of project folder or module folder of some sort, but make sure you never save over it. So then you go to your tiles. That's where I put mine. All right. So we did all that. It's going to add 10. All right. So you're on whatever screen you're on. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to go to your script settings, tile 14, tile 15, tile 14. You're going to go to your project folder basically, tiles. Right there, the multi-tile 0 is for 14, and 01 would be for 15. And then you could rename them. Project labels, tile types, 14, multi tile 00. That's what I name it. You can name it whatever you want. You can call it just multi-tile 1, multi-tile 2. I just call it 001. Because that's how we count. Start with 0 and then you count 0 and 1. Anyway, so if you put it on the screen, you go off the screen and then come back. And then it should be changed. Multi-tile 0, multi-tile 1. So I put multi-tile 0 here, multi-tile 1 here. Alright, so multi-tile 0 does the same exact thing as multi-tile 1, except I just changed on the scripts the things. But I've tested it with other things before, so it does work. So here we go. We're going to test first multi-tile 0. It should give you 10 points. There you go. Now where you change which one this is and where you define them, right here, this would be 10 points. That's the first one right there. This would be multi-tile 2, first one. So I could even put down, like, when you go into project labels, special screen types 1, that's tile 14. You could even put down tile 14. 14 underscore 10 points. BTS. Just to say that, just to show you. You don't even have to put down tile 14, but there you go. Look, tile 14, 10 points. So then that's 10 points. We could even check it out. Maybe you wanted to give you an extra life. In my HUD elements for lives, you'll see my HUD element number 01 is for lives. So just a simple addition. I'm not going to do any checks or anything like that for make sure it's not over a certain value. I just want to show you that I could add the 1 to the live. So I'll just increase my lives. And then it's what was it? HUD element 01. Now, lo and behold, when you go into that spot, it's going to give you an extra life. Look at that. Extra life. Woo, woo, woo. So that's how you check the HUD element real quick and see what it is. My score has this value 06. That's going to probably be different from yours. Maybe it's not. That's how many places. So that would be right there. My X value, my score. Oops. No, it's the same as the other one. There is my score. Max value 06. Anyway, so that's that. Um, and then you'll see like I have like from there it goes 25 is 2. I got 40 is 3, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So just showing and checking these really quick. Just change it by just going here. Be 25, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And let's pick one. 70, right? I could even rename it 70 if I wanted, but I'm not going to right now. Make sure you hit OK. If you don't hit OK, probably won't save it. There goes 70. So there you go. That works for that. Now I'm going to show you something more complicated than just doing some numbers in there. Tile collisions. You might want to keep my tile collision on. If you're doing something that doesn't change a tile collision when you use it, like a trampoline or maybe a wall grab tile stays the same kind of deal. It's like you just grab onto the tile and it's, still a grab on tile when you use it again. You could either, I would just recommend not using them for these or just using tiles like that. You can use them in here, but then you would have to comment out line 14. But if you put other tiles in there that were pickups in the same like multi-tile, so it'd be like if you were in multi-tile 0 and you commented out line 14, don't put pickups in there because if you put pickups in there, it'll like do like it does like a crazy amount of pickups. Like it just keeps picking up, picking up, picking up because it's not changing the tile. It just the tile's the same tile. You keep interacting with it. It's like an infinite basically. But eventually you'll move off of it and it'll do like maybe like 30 or 40 increases. But still, you don't want 30 or 40 automatically like that. You can't even count. Maybe it'll do 100 and you want to like in the blink of an eye. So you don't want that. It does add code bloat, but you could add the tile collision, that line, to each part of your script. So you would add it like right here, right here, right here, right here. You would add it like every place that you did the tile, the what happened when you collided with that tile on this number thing. And that would add a total of 14 extra, which it's line 14, which is funny too. It's line 14, but you're going to be adding another 14 lines of code because you're going to add 7 to this script and 7 to the other script. So I just kept it like this. Or if you comment it out and you don't want to have the changes, maybe one of them does a change, one of them doesn't. You could do that, but then that's a lot of extra coding for you. Maybe you're just coding you just don't feel like doing. So that's the way it is for now. All right, so we comment that really quick. As you see, my player death script, death tile. So that's in the game currently. So that script is active in your project. If I was to take out that tile from the game, it wouldn't be active. But say the tile is active and you're going to refer to that tile, you could do something like that. Like just JSR, do death tile, and that'll do the death tile when you run into it. Um, so if you have a script with something like that in there, you don't want to use that in there unless you're doing something like this. Um, if you have a script that is not active in your game, then you would copy, say, like everything in the script down here. Even if you don't have a death tile, you might even want to copy that and then have another script possibly reference this somewhere else to do the death tile thing. Um, but for now, we can just you copy this and it would do the same thing. My death tiles are a little different, okay, but I also have the stun tile. That's kind of like the stun tile that Joe made in the one tutorial that either kills all the monsters on screen or just puts them in a like a stun state that they just kind of like stay there or they repeatedly do a little thing. Um, so if you same thing, if you have something like this in here, which is a defined location, um, you just something like that, and then my stun tile script would go off because that's already in the game and it's already active. So if you even had the stun timer thing that would be active or something like that, you could have something in the timer script before the timer goes off that would do that, and then it would make the timer go off. Um, because you already have it clearing the tile when you do it, it would only do the timer that one time, and then would turn the enemy back. All right, so that's those. If you like I said, if you needed to, you would copy like this whole script. If there's any reference to not player though in this script, you would need that not player, but I don't think you would need the not player because it's already got the next special tile entry that this one would check special tile. So you wouldn't need that, but watch, it'll do the no unless a label's already defined. What label was already defined? Find monster loop. Yeah. So that would loop. Yeah, you wouldn't have that in your script already, so you would just could do something like this. Yeah, this won't work just perfectly, but you would it would have to be one of those scripts that you didn't have this tile collision in there. Then it would be just fine. You just wouldn't have that because it has it down here. And then it would have to be one of those kind of scripts unless you just change this out, but then that might mess up the script you're not checking. I don't know. You could check that. You could check that, but I have the other one running right now. So I'd have to turn off that stun tile just to check this, which is right there. It's my tile 4. Um, but it'll work anyway because I do the do stun tile script, so it puts them in the state that it would work. So you've seen the script work anyway. I just wanted to show you this is a different way of doing it. But you just can't have that other script active, and you don't want to have two tile collision changes. They just one of them work, one of them doesn't work. It might make the script act differently. So I, don't recommend certain things. Recommend certain things. If you do them a certain way, you want to just be careful about certain things when you're doing it. So I'm just putting my back at 10. So we're going to go on to tile 15 really quick, and then we're just going to finish up. Tile 15, you can pretty much do the same thing as you do in tile 14, except as you see in every entry, we have the LSR, 3 LSRs to push this. 1, 2, 3. Pushes this over here. Um, so that way it's the same checks as the other one. So it's saying check versus 0. It wouldn't check proper against 0 if obviously this is the number that's going on. So then it goes check against 1, number store, check against that like it was before. You gotta move it over, LSR. And then etc. It's checking against all of them. I'm using binary to check these. But all these work. So if say you want 60, and you wanted 10 on this one, made 70 because you had 10 already. Then say maybe you wanted 25. 70, then give you what, 95? It says just because I have score additions in there right now. For example, this one for 50, we can make this one. This one will be the reset of the game. Just jump reset the game. Jump reset's usually good for testing out your code, just to figure out what works, what doesn't work, or what's hitting, what's not hitting in certain spots. So it'd be 25, 30, 30, 40, 50. Maybe that was 60. Find out. That was 60. Yeah, but I should be labeling these, but I'm not. So for now, we're just going to leave them. The next step, we label everything anyway. And I was editing your file and not my file once again. Because this one's mine, this one's yours. Grabbed them from the wrong file. So this tile, there's the 50. Jump reset. When I get the 50, it will reset the game. Because I know this code works. There we go. And the other code, see, 70. Resets the game. And you can see that's in the thing. This would be 70. This would be the reset of the game. 3. Should be 50. but I've made it reset the game. Um, so that's how the code works. Part 3, configuring NESmaker. When you get these codes to work, as I was mentioning earlier, you'll have to go into your project settings and your script settings. That's tile 14. Tile 15, go to project labels. Tile 14 and tile 15, you'll rename them there. Your subtiles will be here. So like here we have 10 points, and we have 25. Etc. So there I labeled all of 14. So if you were to put them in your game, make sure you leave this screen that you were currently on, come back, or just go to another screen. See, that's there. When you go here, say what it does, like 60, and then it does 60. So that's where you label them. That's where you change the code. I mean, you could use these templates where it says, under this part or whatever. You could replace this part with like my stuff I'm doing. And then like your script, whatever it does, gives you extra ammo, gives you whatever. So you could just put whatever you want there, have whatever you want in the other spot, and then mess around with it. Just make sure you keep, just don't mess around with this. Just put all your stuff in between here. Basically, place this, if you want with whatever you're gonna say, obviously. But just keep all this stuff over here. Keep all my things I put in here, and everything should be fine. It'll jump from script to script to script. Like I was saying before, if you need to, when you're configuring, if you need to like get rid of this, and then put your tile collisions change, say, you would put it, what you do in your code, like, better example would be like right here. So where you're doing your code, you would put it like right here. Right under the is this. It is this, then you're going to change the tile and do all this other stuff. That's really it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.